YouTube channel so that you can go back and view these trainings later at your convenience. Today we're going to be talking about using the console. My name is Frederick Baer. I'm a technical architect with Eide Bailly, and here with me today is John Jones, a solution architect with Eide Bailly. As we go through this training, this is an interactive training. We will be asking you questions in the form of polls, and we will also take any questions that you have, whether they're on topic or not. If they're related to Salesforce, we will try to answer them. So let's talk about what we're going to be going through today. Like we said, this is going to be an interactive webinar. We're building on previous work that we've been doing in the previous weeks. We recommend that you follow along. If you've missed a previous week, you can always go to the YouTube channel. We'll post that link for you. And definitely bring your questions. Anything that you have a question about with Salesforce, if you're having something that you're trying to do and you need some help with it, whatever you need, we're here to answer your questions. So what we've done is we started with a brand new org, and we're building it out for a fictional company called Universal Boxes. Universal Boxes is a subsidiary of Universal Containers, and what they do is they manufacture boxes for companies all over the world. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to John now, and he is going to talk about what the console is and how we use it.
All right, thank you, Fred. So the console for Salesforce, there's a couple of things about it. We'll talk about a couple of things, then we're just going to dive right into our org and take a look at it, play with it a little bit, and hopefully you got some questions as we go along too. I've got some fun features to show you. What is the console? The console is simply a tab-based interface that allows you to view multiple points of data at once. So you can see your service is the most common use case for using the console. So in the console, you'll have a section where you can see your list of cases. You'll have your case detail. You'll have a sidebar that could show you more information about the account or the contact, or maybe some knowledge articles, and some different ways to log some different data in there, as well as if you've got any type of chat or routing stuff set up, you can feed that into the console for your agents as well. It also, with the tab-based interface, it uses sub-tabs to open your related records, which is really kind of nice because it keeps everything in one screen rather than having a bunch of tabs across your browser. It groups them down into the console, and it makes it a little easier to manage everything that you've got. You can have multiple things open, and it kind of organizes everything for you. If you want to set up a new console, the first thing is you have to make sure that your user has the Service Console or the Sales Console permissions. This is a user permission, not a profile permission. And anyone that's going to use the console must have that permission enabled on the user. So that's important to keep in mind and watch for. To create a new console or to edit an existing console, you're going to go to Setup, Create Apps, and either select your console or hit New and choose Console as the type of app to set up a new console. So with that, let me get the...
John, really quick, while you're getting that up, I'm going to throw up a poll here.
Okay.
Which role was the console primarily designed for? Sales, service, management, or for everyone? So this time you can go ahead and make your selection of what you think the answer is while John gets the demo ready for us. All right, we're going to go ahead and close this poll now. It looks like almost everybody has voted on it. And it looks like the majority of the people are saying service. As John said, that is where most of the time service will be using the console. You can use it for sales, or well, anyone really can use it. You can design it for your other departments, but it really was designed for service. So we'll go ahead and turn it back over to John and let him show us the demo here.
Wonderful. And also, exactly right. So Service was the original design. They did come out with a sales console, kind of a console that was designed for sales as well. That's only about a year or so old. But as Fred mentioned, you can really design a console to use for anyone in the system. If anybody likes that interface, then they can just use it and run with it. So, all right. So I've got some stuff set up, but the first thing I want to do is we're just going to go through creating a new console, and then we're going to jump to my existing console just to show you some other features that are there. So let's start. We're going to go over here to Setup, Create Apps. I'm totally in the wrong org. I apologize. Hold on for just a moment. I apologize for that. I had the wrong tab up. Here we go. Okay, Setup. Come down here to Create Apps. And now you'll notice here on your apps, you've got a column listed for Console. And so you'll see anything that's marked as a console. There is a sample console that Salesforce gives you out of the box. You can go ahead and open that and play with it and take a look at it. It's a good way to see what the original design was for and kind of how the basics of it work. Let's create a new one just for fun and take a look at how this works. So when you go to New, you can either do a custom app or you can do a console. So we're going to choose Console here. I'm going to call this a Sales Console. You can name it anything you want. And as we've mentioned before, putting in a description is always a really good thing. The description field is also a good place to track changes to whatever it is you're building, a field or a console or whatever. You can just put your initials and a nice little timestamp after whatever you put there. It's just a good way to track what's going on in your system. You can put a custom image on it, so you can have the Salesforce logo, or you can put your own logo there if you'd like to. And then we've got the first part of our console. So the first thing is, within the console, our tab bar is going to disappear and it's become this little drop-down list. So it wants to know what tabs do we want available in that drop-down list. So we're going to pick a few things here. I'm going to go Home Accounts. We're going to pick some basics to start. Some common things that you may run into. And you'll notice some of these have stars on them. And you'll see the little note that Salesforce has up here. Anything with a star means that those pieces of the system have not quite been updated to work in the console. And so when you try to go to that, it's actually going to throw you out of the console. I'm going to actually go ahead and leave documents on there, and I'm going to show you what that looks like and how to get back to your console if you do that. I think those are the things I want for now. So we'll throw those over there. And you'll see it gave me a warning because I pulled something over that it is telling me isn't normal or isn't acceptable in the console. And then you can reorder these as you want. I'm going to throw Home at the very top. And then you can reorder these however you'd like. Okay, the next screen. So now this wants to know, how do you want to organize your tabs and your sub-tabs? How do you want things to pop open? So Home, obviously the primary tab. Cases, I'm actually going to mark as going to be a sub-tab of Contact. When you're working a case, you're generally working with a specific person. I'm also going to make sure that Contacts are a sub-tab of Accounts. I'm basically thinking of my Salesforce hierarchy and how would I work through. I go to an account, I find the contact, I create the case, and so that's kind of how I want my tabs to display down. And you can keep doing that. I'm also going to mark opportunities as a sub-tab of Accounts, and the rest of them I'll leave. So there's a lot of flexibility and control you can build into this. And Now this wants to know which profiles actually get to use this console. So this is a sales console, so I'm actually only going to mark it for the sales team. So we've got sales down here. I'm going to mark that my system admin gets access to it as well. And we'll let marketing play with it if they want to as well. Marketing looks at sales type information. So we'll do that. And you can also mark it as the default tab, meaning when they log into Salesforce, this is the first thing it's going to go to if you want to. So now that's the basics of setting up the console itself. And you'll see now we've got the sales console here. I'm going to go down to my support console, and we're going to look at some other options that show up. Now that you've created the console, if you go to it and go to edit, you're going to see a lot more options that we didn't have when we set it up. You've still got your name, your description, aside from pad typing. You can change your image here. You can also adjust your header colors. And you'll see it's using hex code colors. You can look those up on the internet to find out different hex codes for different colors to find. You can change your tab colors. So you can have your primary tab, whatever color you want, and your footer. So you can adjust all of that. Here you can change the objects that are in your selected items. I'm going to throw documents over there. Overwrite personal custom app applications or customizations. And you can take away the option for your users to customize this list. I've got it available so my users can customize it and make it useful for them. And then again, these things we set up. Now here's some new things. List placement. So as I mentioned, you're going to have a spot where you have your list, for instance, your case list, and then your details in a different place. So you can do it as just a main tab, full screen, and anything you open will open a separate tab. Or you can have your list pinned to the top or to the left. And basically that's going to keep that list visible all the time for your users, and they can see the list while they're going. That's nice for service teams so they can have their case queue open and see what cases are coming in as they're working, and just kind of keep track of things as they go that way. You can do whitelisted domains, which basically means these are domains that your users are going to be able to access the console from outside of your main company. Not very commonly used. Most people just use their Salesforce logins and work it from there. Console components. There's some default console components. There's some things that you turn on that add components, or you can create custom components with some coding and some other fun features. This is just to show you, so in this case, the macro browser is not on my console, but it's available. So but I didn't pull it over. But I've got these three things in my console that we're going to see how those work. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you'll see there's a number of options here that you can go through and kind of look at to play with, and the profile assignments can be adjusted here as well. So lots of different options. You can customize it and kind of make it work really good for you. So now that we've got a console set up, we've got some things set up the way we want. Let's actually go log it. Let's actually pop to the console and take a look at it. So I'm going to go to my apps. I'm going to find my support console. And it'll take a second to get loaded up because it can change things. And now you'll see I've got a whole different view of what's going on with my screen. Up here at the top, I've got my global search bar. I've got my all tabs or apps option here, so I can switch back to my sales app or whatever I want to here. Here's help. For admins, they'll have the support option here. And then you've got this nice little icon for your profile. If you've got a profile picture, it'll show your picture there. And now you'll see it just sent me straight to my cases list view. Here's my different options here, so I can pull up my home screen and take a look at it here. Or I can go to whichever item I want to. So we're going to work on cases. So there's my cases. So to start with, I'm going to say, I'm going to go to my case, and I'm going to pop open a case so that I can work on it. And now you'll see what's happening here is it's keeping my list view open. It popped open my case over here, and you'll see I've got my tabs here. So this very top tab is actually my contact. And then under that, I've got a details tab. That's my contact details. And then I've got the case tab in a separate spot here. So you see how quickly it opened everything up where now I can quickly pop between the two and take a look at different information. Close that for just a minute. And here's my details. Now the cool thing is this sidebar is set to be 20% of my screen. But if I hover over the edge of it there, I can actually adjust the size of this as I go, as I work. So it's not locked to that. Your users can, depending on what screen they're working with, they can change that sizing and work and make it work the best for them. Now from here, I can just start working my case. I can just go to Edit. I can add things as we need to. Update your information. You can go down here and find your articles or solutions, your activity history, and just work your case. Again, your list view will stay open here, so if you're on a queue, for instance, I've got a new email cases queue, I can just have this open and just watch it to see if anything new comes in while I'm working, so I can see the load that's coming up behind me. I'm going to pop this sidebar back open that I closed a second ago. This is a suggested article, so that if you have knowledge licenses, then this becomes very powerful with the console. Solutions are nice because once you've got the case, then you can just hit Find Solution or View Suggested Solutions, but the articles actually become real time. So I'm actually going to go out here, and we're going to throw in, I'm going to throw a new case into our queue, and this is going to show you a couple of things that we've got set up with the console. So I'll show you this sidebar as well. Down here at the bottom, you'll see I've got a couple of things added here. I've got a history, which is my history. It's showing things that I've clicked on. I've got a knowledge, which is showing, it's just going to show me all the articles that are available for me to take a look at, and I can search knowledge right here. And then I've got this one that's omni-channel. We'll do a training on this a little bit later. But basically, this is a system for chatting or queues or anything like that that you might have set up, right? Right now, I have it set up so that any new email cases that come in are actually going to pop in through that omni-channel, just so I can show you the power of the console and what it does. So let me get a case sent over here. So someone's going to send an email into your support queue, and it's going to take just a second for that to actually load up here. But you're going to see a couple of things are going to happen when that finally hits the system. It's going to show up in my omni-channel here because I'm available. It's going to come in and say, hey, there's a new thing. There we go. I'm not sure if the sound came through or not, but there's an audio notification with omni-channel as well. So it was pinging in my ear telling me, hey, there's a new item for you here. I can accept it or I can decline it right here. If I decline it, it's going to throw my status into busy. That's part of the omni-channel setup. But I can accept it, and it's going to pop open. I'm going to drop this down, and you'll see it popped open my case for me right here. Now, you'll notice this time the case is the primary tab. That's because you'll see it didn't fill in a contact automatically for me. So that could be something with my system setup or my routing inside of Salesforce somewhere, or I couldn't find a contact to match to or something that way. So we can change that, though. We can just come to our contact and start editing here. And I'm going to say I need my contact. We'll throw one in here and save it. Now we've got our contact on there. It's not going to update my tab, but at least now I know I have my contact listed here. Now you'll also see that as it came in automatically, I've got some suggested options from my knowledge base that might answer this case. What it's doing is it's looking at the subject right here and saying, oh, based on that subject, one of these might actually fit. And I can just grab this and say, you know what, this is what I need right here. I'm going to attach that to my case. And now as I come down here, there it is, right on my case. I can pick an email template that may be set up, and I can send that back to the client and close the case, and I'm done. Another thing that's cool about this sidebar with this article, I'm going to show you here. I'm going to clone this case. And you'll see I'm in the edit screen of a new case. And immediately this suggested solution still came up. So watch what happens here. I'm going to change this. And watch what happens. As I type my subject, you'll see that sidebar is changing. It's actually doing a live search as I type my notes for me. So as I'm creating a new case, oh, look, right there is going to solve my problem. That's what I need. So I can just throw that on the case right now. Now that's attached to my case. I can finish filling out my notes. I can say, and in this one, I'm just going to hit save and close. And I'm done with this case. And so now suddenly I have a first call resolution option, very simply because my knowledge base is linked to my cases within the console. So that's an awesome use case for support teams and how to use the console and what it can kind of do and kind of the structure and layout of how things work here. You can obviously use that. Your knowledge base can have so much information in it. You could use that for sales and marketing. You can have sales and marketing documentation in the knowledge base, and as they create cases, which isn't common, but it can be done, then they can have information show up right there as well.
John, we've got a question here real quick.
Sure.
Earlier you were talking about that you had to have permission for the console. Can you show us where you set that permission at?
Absolutely. I'm going to pop out to setup here. We're going to go to the users. I'm going to go pick our user here. And right here on the user itself, there's a whole bunch of listed options here that are needed for different functions. Being a user permission, not a profile permission. So for the Service Console, it's actually the Service Cloud user permission that has to be active. And that's the one. So that has to be checked on, and then your user can have access to the console. Good question. Thank you. Do we have any other questions? All right, I'm going to pop back to the console for a second. I mentioned that I've got an item in my list here that is not actually set up for the console. I'll set up the documents in here. Let me customize my tabs and throw it in there real quick. So let me show you what happens if you do this. So now I'm going to go to Documents. And you'll see it's showing me my list view of documents here. Oh, this one's updated. It said it wasn't actually it wasn't set up for the console. Let me just throw something in here real quick. Okay, this is not quite behaving the way I was hoping it would. close down some of my console tabs here, so I'm just back on my main. If you close down all your tabs, then you suddenly, the sidebar becomes full screen. And you'll get everything there. That's going to open my case. So this, I'm not finding a good example right now. I thought Documents was going to do it because it was started earlier as something that wasn't set up to support the console. But basically what happens is the same thing that happened when I went to set up. If you run into something that's not going to work in the console, it throws you back to this classic view. And instead of your tab bar, you just have a link here that says back to support console. So when you're done with whatever here, you just click that, and it'll take you right back. One of the nice things about the console is it actually saves your session. So let me show you this again. I'm going to pop open a couple of things here. So you'll see I'm getting a few tabs open here. We'll get another case open. So I've got some stuff here that I may have open, I may be working on. I've got to jump out for whatever reason, go check some information or make some updates to the system. And when I'm done, I'm going to go back to Support Console. And you're going to see all my tabs are still there, my session is maintained, everything's active just the way I had it. So that's another really nice function that they've got here, is that it'll maintain your session for you. Another thing you can do is over here on the side, there's this little drop down that'll show you your different tabs. And there's some fun things you can do here. You can share it with other people, you can bookmark it, you can pin it. And you'll see when I pinned it, it shrunk it to just the icon. But now that tab will always be on my bar. I can close other tabs, but I can't close that one. It's just always there. So I'm pinning it as something that I'm going to save and hang on to later. I can unpin it and get rid of it just by coming back out here. I can refresh that tab. So there's some different options here. You can pop out all your primaries, close all primary tabs. So I'm going to click that, and it's just going to kill everything for me. Reopen last close tab. So you see there's some really nice functions in here that are going to help. And down here on the sidebar, you've got similar functions with your details. You can share it, and it just gives you a link. And what do you want to share? Standard URL, include only this tab, primary and all sub-tabs, so you can, whatever you want. And then you just copy and paste that URL to an email or a chatter post or whatever and send it out to someone. As an admin, you also have your edit screen links up here. So if you click this, it'll pop you into setup where you can make those changes, and you can go right back to your console. So you can see the console is very powerful. It's a different interface. It can take just a little bit of getting used to. But once you really get using it, especially with support teams that are working on multiple cases, if you have something like a chat system feeding from your website, this is extremely powerful, because then you've got all your tabs across the top here with all your different chat sessions that you can pick through, your cases that are open, your phone calls work the same way. And all that's just going to show up here and be right here in one spot where you can access it really simply and really easily. So that's the console. That's kind of the power and things behind it. And there we go. Do we have any further questions?
All right. It doesn't look like we have any questions. I do want to throw up a poll here really quick. Which service desk solution does your company currently use? Are you using the Service Cloud? Are you using another cloud-based solution? Maybe an on-site solution? If you're already using Salesforce and you're using a different service desk, it's really beneficial to move it all into Salesforce. All your data, your customer data is already there. You can very quickly pull up the accounts, the contacts. And it looks like as we get those poll results, It looks like it is hands down the Service Cloud is what people are using.
Nice.
All right. All right. I think that, John, that just about finishes up our training for today. Did you have anything else?
Nope, that finishes up for today.
Right.
Thank you very much for attending today. Keep in mind, we are doing these every week, and as we move forward, we're constantly looking for questions and topics that you guys want to hear about. So come back every week. Email us. You can reply to your emails about these webinars, where you can email us directly. Our emails are listed in that information. Send us questions and things that you want more information on, and we will discuss those and present those for you.
And the one other thing before we leave today, as we end this training, a survey will pop up on the screen. We ask that you take it. It should take you less than 2 minutes to fill it out. There's 3 questions on that survey. And that helps us improve these trainings and make sure that you are getting the most out of them that you can. We want to make sure that we are providing high quality trainings, that we're helping you become better in your admin roles. Thank you very much for attending today.